Hello, my curious souls. Mountain Mama here. I am going to go over with you some history and information around Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park in West Virginia. We recently did an investigation there on Halloween night, and let me tell you, it was cold. It started snowing. You joined the live, thank you so much. We're going to give you some more detailed history here for those of you who maybe didn't get to see and who are interested in the property. So whenever we do a investigation or a case, one of the first places that we actually start is with some of the geography and the geological aspects of the land, starting out on the foundation there. And with that being said, looking at where Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park is located, it is technically Rock, West Virginia, but that is outside of Princeton, West Virginia. So some notable locations that are within hours or so away from there would be Roanoke, Virginia. And then Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Especially, we always look at this kind of thing because Point Pleasant, enough said. And then you're going to have also the Ashland-Ironton Bridge connection there, Ashland, Kentucky, Ironton, Ohio, known for Indrid Cold. And a lot of different things going on. I mean, the state has seen a lot of UFOs, a lot of extraterrestrials, and paranormal activity. In addition to this, going from a geology standpoint, Charleston, West Virginia is where you start seeing more magnetized soil. Now, other places that are mentioned for some of these kinds of effects on possible paranormal activity are places like Bobby Mackey's Music World. So, magnetized soil can sometimes have an effect whenever it comes to paranormal activity. And Lake Shawnee is included in some of that as well. If there is limestone or quartz in the soil, then that can sometimes also amplify activity or known to, and it can relate more within stone tape theory. If you're interested in knowing about multiple types of hauntings, look up stone tape theory. We've seen it in action. It's pretty interesting. So from there, I will give you one guess on who the original inhabitants of Lake Shawnee were, the Shawnee tribe. We can also estimate that in addition to the Shawnee tribe, that the Cherokee and other Native American tribes may have passed through there as well, as they would have traded with each other or intermingled or, gone between tribes. So with that being said, one of the first things that you're going to find if you look up Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park, I don't think you can miss it at this point, is something about Chief Cornstalk's curse. And it gets to the point that it's pretty annoying if you're actually trying to find some information. But the way that we operate as a paranormal team and what our paranormal nonprofit is built on is historical preservation and paranormal crisis. With that being said, I need solid proof. And some of that, when it comes to history, we will never get. When I say that I need solid proof, I'm talking newspaper articles, eyewitness accounts, and some kind of archive or record to be able to support some of these claims. Now, I'm not sure, and I know that there isn't. So we will never know if Chief Cornstalk cursed this land based off of the Shawnee beliefs and Great Spirit and a grandmother type spirit. I'm not saying that he couldn't have. I mean, that's not for me to say. But at the same time, with some of the things that are associated with what Chief Cornstalk said, because this is more than Lake Shawnee area. We're talking Point Pleasant over there too. And the idea is that this could even be some of the reason behind the Mothman phenomena. This talk of a curse gets pretty deep. So I think that another view that could probably be taken on it is that Chief Cornstalk may not have been actually cursing the land, but actually be telling the English settlers that they would curse the land, that they would make the air unbreathable, the land uninhabitable, because of the way that they were treating Mother Earth from a spiritual and environmental standpoint. So that is another way that I think that is really important to look at it before just saying that some land's cursed. In addition to that, and there are some trigger warnings here. Some of the tragedies here are pretty graphic, so just forewarned. The first English settler of this land was Mitchell Clay. If you are in the Kentucky area, you know who Henry Clay is. So Henry Clay, Cassius Clay, this is actually their nephew, Mitchell Clay, who was the first settler, English settler on this land. Now, he had a lot of children, him and his wife, probably around 16 kids or so. And there was a point where Mitchell was actually out hunting and his children were doing chores. So two of the children were out away from the home a bit, working on their chores when the Shawnee attacked and they killed 2 of the children, and they took Ezekiel, another child. So when Mitchell returns, he finds the house, empty because his wife has fled with the children. He banded together with some other men, and when they went to go and get his son back, graphic warning here, that's whenever he saw that Ezekiel had been burned at the stake. It is rumored that the chief actually gave him a horse to take the boy back home. And although this is very hard history to go over and dark history, it is not believed that this means that the relationship between Clay and the Shawnee was always bad, because he was able to recognize that these were bad people. It does not mean that all of the Shawnee are bad people. Something that we are still working in concepts, of today. So from there, later on in the 30s or 40s is when C.T. Snido buys the property and he opens a resort. And that's what he called it. He had a couple of amusement rides, Ferris wheel, swings, a spring-fed pool. There were orchestras that came in. A lot of coal miners vacationed here, and they were always having something there. Now, that's when you start getting into some other tragedies that you will immediately find on this land. I think it's really important you do some deep research instead of just trusting what you may find on another paranormal site or, others who just want to maybe make this place sound extra dark, or negative in some way, even though it has a lot of tragedy associated with the property. I'm not going to lie. It's there. But at the same time, there are a lot of newspaper articles to support different tragedies, especially around automobiles. And this is just a 2-lane road. If you've drove in a small town in Kentucky, I'm talking that kind of road. And it wasn't your just normal auto accidents, like one car hits another. There are a couple cases of that where I believe it's around 35 or 36, that there were some women who were in an accident there. Around that same time period, a man was run off the road by another vehicle. But then you have a man who, in 1926, was working on his vehicle at Lake Shawnee, and he was hit by lightning. Or you have a 9-year-old child who was struck by a steel rod that flew out of the back of a truck and killed him. And then there were also some drownings associated with the land. So that spring-fed pool, there was a little boy who drowned there. There was another child who drowned in the river. And then there was a little girl killed on the swings when a delivery truck didn't see her and backed up. Now, that one is one that a lot of people have reported they haven't been able to find a newspaper article for, but there was an eyewitness, so we do know it happened. And from there, you get up until today with the current owners of the land who bought it back in the late 80s. They started digging on some of the land, and in the late 80s is when they came across a skeleton. So Marshall University and West Virginia University came in, and archaeologists began to dig. And that's when they found 13 bodies of the Shawnee. Now that I've given you a brief, long history of Lake Shawnee Abandoned Amusement Park, I will tell you this is not even the beginning of it all. If you want things that I won't even disclose because I want you to go on the tour, then you should go to West Virginia and tour this place with the owner and get some of the even more detailed history of this property. It is absolutely mind-blowing. The tour is one of the best tours I've ever been on for paranormal investigation. The owners, up in there with my favorite owners of a paranormal location. I cannot recommend it enough. It's one of the best places that you could go and take a weekend. Go to West Virginia. Check this place out. It is massive, and the stories associated with it are so unbelievable that they're actually true. So what I'll do from here, as we're still processing our evidence when it comes to this case, because it was so windy and so cold, there's some theories around temperature and paranormal activity, and that I will post another video going over our experience there to let you know what that was like, and just from a first-hand account. So until then, stay curious.